You've probably heard the term FIRE floating around, right? Financial independence, retire early. It's a really powerful idea. Save like crazy, invest with a plan, and unlock a life of freedom, maybe decades ahead of schedule. On the surface, it sounds so straightforward. But here's the thing. For a lot of people who start this journey, they never actually make it to the finish line. The dream itself is simple, sure, but the path is just filled with traps. So the big question is why? What keeps going wrong? To really get what goes wrong, think about it like this. Imagine your whole FIRE plan is a bucket. You're working hard, trying to fill it up with your savings. But for most people, that bucket has leaks, these common mistakes that just drain their money and sink their plans. So today, we're going to find those leaks and patch them up together. Okay, so the first and honestly the most critical leak happens right at the very beginning. It's that temptation to go chasing big, flashy returns before you've even built a proper financial house. Every single solid financial plan has to start here, with a base that you just don't compromise on. Now, this isn't the exciting part, I get it, but believe me, it is the most important. We're talking about having the right insurance to protect you and a fully funded emergency fund. That means having 3 to 6 months of your living expenses tucked away in cash. This is your financial shield against, well, life. And listen, only when that base is absolutely rock solid do you move to the next level, consistent long-term investing. This is where the real wealth building happens. But you can only do it right when you know that a sudden job loss or a surprise medical bill isn't going to force you to sell everything at the worst possible time. And all of this brings us, finally, to the peak. You see, financial independence isn't where you start. It's the final block you get to place on top of a very, very stable structure. So the crucial takeaway here is this. Trying to build your wealth without that foundation isn't a plan. It's a gamble. A single unexpected emergency can bring that whole thing crashing down, wiping out years of your hard work. You have to secure your base first. All right, let's talk about the next leak. This one is a little bit different. It's basically a failure of imagination. It's about underestimating just how much your dream retirement is actually going to cost. Just look at how easily we can fool ourselves. Let's say your retirement plan has a budget of, $100 a month for golfing. Seems reasonable, right? But what's the reality going to be? Once you've got all that free time, you'll have cart rentals, you'll want new equipment, maybe a club membership, you'll travel to different courses. Suddenly, that simple hobby could easily cost $400 a month or even more. This is the perfect time for a little reality check. I really want you to pause here and take an honest look at your own plans. Are you budgeting for just the idea of a hobby or for the full, messy, expensive reality of it? Be honest with yourself. All right, next up we have two leaks that are very closely related. I like to call them the twin illusions, and they're both born from being a little too optimistic about the future. The first illusion is expecting these heroic, unbelievable investment returns. It's easy to see some flashy headlines and think your portfolio is going to grow by 15% or more every single year. But historically, the broad market average is actually closer to about 8%. Basing your entire future on hope instead of history is just a recipe for disappointment. The second illusion is thinking that a bigger salary automatically means you're going to save more. But what often happens is the exact opposite. There's a name for it, lifestyle inflation, and it is a silent killer of FIRE dreams. This graph shows it perfectly. Look, your income goes up, which is great, but if your spending on a nicer car, a bigger house, fancier holidays, rises right along with it, that gap between the two lines, your savings, it never actually gets any wider. You're earning more, but you're no closer to your goal. So, we've laid out the biggest leaks that can sink your FIRE plan. But here's the good news. There is a single, really powerful solution that helps you patch all of them. The real question then becomes, how do you get ahead of this stuff? How do you find these leaks in your own plan and fix them before it's too late? Well, the answer is actually simpler than you might think. It really all comes down to two steps. First, you have to know your target, your FIRE number. That's usually about 25 times what you plan to spend each year. And second, you have to track your progress towards that number relentlessly. Remember, what gets measured gets managed. And tracking doesn't have to be this big, complicated thing. A simple monthly check-in, just like this, is all you really need. What was my income? What were my expenses? How much did I save? Just seeing that progress bar move forward keeps you honest and it keeps you focused. It turns all those vague hopes into cold, hard data. Because at the end of the day, the secret to achieving FIRE, it isn't about finding some magic investment or getting lucky. This is not a sprint. The real goal is to build wealth consistently, brick by brick, month after month, with discipline and with awareness. So, as we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. After seeing all these common pitfalls, I want you to take an honest look at your own financial bucket. What's the very first leak that you are going to patch in your plan?